Hey everybody,
What's going
just getting
on?
set up, kicking off another real estate Ask Me Anything with Nick Nowak team. I'm Nick. This is Anthony. Give us a few seconds, get all set up and started here. So we try to do this about every month. Just want to bring the opportunity to reach out to those we know, open the floor for any real estate questions anyone has, and also bring in a separate topic for us to kind of cover. Tonight, we want to talk about showings. We were talking after our last live stream, and this is a topic you don't actually see real estate agents talk very much about. What to expect as a buyer when you're going on a showing, what to expect as a seller when you're having strangers come into your house that you're trying to sell to them. So we kind of want to talk about our experiences. I think we both have a few awkward or funny circumstances we've had along the way. Um, but just to kind of give that heads up of what to expect as a buyer, what to expect as a seller. And again, throughout the next hour or so, answer any real estate questions anyone has. So feel free to chime in anytime, whether you're watching on a Facebook profile page or on the YouTube channel. Feel free to throw in a comment. We should be able to see that, and we'll jump to any questions you have. But we want to start kind of going over our topic, talking about the home showing process. Like most things in real estate, it is not HGTV. So what you see on reality TV shows is not at all reality. That's not quite our area, not typically our market, and just not usually the way things are done. Um, so we're going to kind of go through the process tonight. Talk about from setting up that showing. A house popped up, you saw it online, you want to go take a look at the inside, where you go from there, all the way through wrapping it up in the feedback process, second showings, and so forth, and then talking on that seller's perspective. So kicking us off, Anthony want to share a little bit, talking about seeing that house. A lot of times, most of our clients out there, they're looking at Zillow, at Realtor.com, Redfin, a lot of those other real estate websites, which are a great place to look for and find the houses that are available for sale. But wanted to share about some do's and don'ts when it comes to those online sites and setting up a showing for a house. So Anthony, I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, basically, like Nick said, a lot of people, pretty much shop on home. We shop for homes online nowadays. So basically, especially before you might have, maybe reached out to an agent, you might just be browsing homes on. You might have, went online, got your pre-approval, talked to your lender. Now you're just kind of browsing homes on, Zillow, Truly, or whatever online site offers it. And a lot of times, you're not sure if you can actually uh you could book a showing through those sites if you wanted to, follow the prompts, click through it and everything like that. And a lot of questions I get when it pertains when you finally do reach out to an agent and, um, and you did see a home on Zillow, now you're curious if that agent can show you that home that you just saw on Zillow, or if you just have to see homes that agent sends you. So just want to kind of clarify on that. So if you do see a home on Zillow that you saved and you're just waiting to reach out to your agent, you definitely could send them that home that you saw on Zillow, and your personal agent will be able to kind of go in and get extra details on that home and set up a showing for you on that home that you found on Zillow. I never really recommend going on like Zillow and Trulia and just putting in your information freely, because just like anything, you're pretty much putting in your information and opening the door for you know opening the door for those online sites to kind of bombard you with you know emails and calls and texts, and it might not be um, sometimes it might not even be about that particular home. You know what I mean? So
I think there's a good rule of thumb, especially with any technology. But anytime you're signing up for something or you're looking at something and you're getting it for free, that means that's not the product being sold. The product being sold is you and your information.
yes.
So no, that's true of Facebook. Now, we're on social media, different channels. We all get that for free. No, we get it for free because us and our information and what we post, that's all being sold, advertisers and so forth. Nothing wrong with it. It's kind of the world we live in, but something that's always good to keep in mind. So
Absolutely.
real estate websites where you can view all this content for free, is great. Definitely gives you a lot of access to information. But as Anthony pointed out, that's definitely something you want to kind of keep in mind when you're putting stuff on there.
Yes.
That you are the product as an interested home buyer or potentially interested home buyer. you're definitely the product that they're making their business and their money off of.
Absolutely. What else that?
So what about you go on one of those real estate websites, house just popped up on the market and they got that little box that says no, schedule now, we can get you in tomorrow. No, select your time. No, what day do you want to see it? What time do you want to see it? No, click here and get all set up. What do you think about those?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, those you could pretty much do that, but like you just alluded to that, those things are you pretty much putting your information out there for it to be sold. But I mean, I don't really have I guess that's.
I think in my experience, it can be a little bit misleading too, because it looks like, all right, you're setting an appointment that once you put in, hey, I want to see this house at noon tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, you're booked and ready to go. No, that system does not connect to the listing agent. It doesn't connect to the seller. So while they might be telling you got a confirmed appointment, you're going to meet with an agent ready to go, that doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's talked to the seller yet saying, hey, can we come in your house at that time?
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they're trying to get you to book that appointment. So
that's true.
Kind of the biggest advice there. Now, when you're looking, you're just starting out your home search. I would highly recommend you start your home search by first finding your agent. Most people, to be honest, don't do that. Find a pretty house first. Houses look prettier than agents.
Unless your name is Anthony.
No, lots of people, everyone's searching on Zillow, on lots of other real estate sites, whether or not you're looking to move or not, you're just looking what's out in the area. Hey, no, where's your dream house? Kind of poking around. Certainly nothing wrong with that. But once you start to get serious and, hey, no, we're really ready to start making a move to buy our first house, to move up to that dream house, you really want to find that agent, start working an agent first before you go out there and start finding the houses, searching the showings. There's lots of hiccups can happen in that initial process too. One of the hardest things, I have a client who's set on a home and then for some reason it doesn't work because we kind of did things a little bit out of order. So I think our most successful clients overall are the ones who team up with an agent, start working with an agent, talk about their needs, talk about their financing, how they're going to get into that house, their timeline, and then we go out and look for the right house that's going to be the fit for what they need, what they want, as well as their circumstances.
Beautiful.
Couple other initial thoughts on there too. On the agent point of view, things that you don't also see too often is one, any realtor, any real estate agent has an obligation to only bring qualified buyers through houses. So how seller wants to put their house on the market, obviously they need to show it in order to have offers and find eventually the buyer is going to buy it. But there's an obligation on the agent side to only bring qualified buyers through. So we've had people before, hey, I have no interest at all in moving, not to buy a house, but this house that came up next door to me. Now you're an agent. Will you open the door so I can go and take a look? It's a bit problematic on our end because of our obligation there. Ethically, legally, professionally, we need to leave space in that house for the buyers who are truly looking to buy it. They've got to be qualified. They got to be working on that mortgage qualification process, the proof of funds process to make sure before they go through that house. Additionally too, Anthony and I know we like people. That's why we're in this job. We like spending time with people. We certainly don't mind looking at houses at all. Again, that's very much part of our job. But kind of going through houses, spending time with people that maybe aren't actually looking to buy probably isn't the best use of our time. The other piece that really doesn't come up in the public eye too much, it's called procuring cause. And that comes up between agents, but that talks about who earns the commission when a house is shown. So for example, if you called up an agent and, hey, I want to go see this house, you could take a tour of 123 Main Street. You absolutely love it. And now you're going to call your buddy Anthony saying, Anthony, I want you to be my buyer's agent, put an offer in on this house. No, we want to buy it. We want to move into it. Well, Anthony's issue is this procuring cause, is that agent who showed the property is the one who's actually due the commission for the house. So even though you as a buyer have absolutely every right to work with any agent you choose, but the commission the seller is offering to compensate that buyer's agent, that goes to the agent typically who showed the house, who introduced the buyer to the property. So Anthony is more than willing to be your agent. However, Anthony has mouths to feed, has business expenses to take care of. So he's got to be compensated for his time in some way or another. So we'd have to come to an agreement where the seller is going to be paying this other agent who showed the house, and then you as the buyer is going to need to come to an arrangement how to pay your buyer's agent rather than that coming from the seller, even though the seller thinks they're already paying for that. So that's why, again, going back to finding that agent before you find that house you want to go see definitely sets up people in the right thing, avoids lots of confusion, and so forth and so on. I think one of the top questions that we get the most is, "Hey, I want to go take a look at this house. Don't worry, just give me the access code. I can go in. I don't want to bother you. I don't want to take up your time." Any issues you see with that?
Yeah, so yeah, I get that question, a lot too. And the only, the reason why we don't, do things like that, just because, imagine if you was, selling your property, you hired an agent and you have your personal things in there, you know what I mean? And you want to make sure it's a big safety issue. You don't just want to send any person that you haven't, met, spoke to, pre-qualified, checked out before you just send them over and for a show. And so that's why the biggest issue I see with that is just overall safety and protection and just security. You know what I mean? So that's something that I never do.
Yeah, when we're working with sellers, lots of sellers have this concern about strangers coming to their house.
Yeah.
And we can confidently say, no, they're always accompanied by a licensed real estate agent, background checked by the state of New Jersey. So they have safety there. This is probably the top way for a real estate agent to lose their license. I've definitely seen it happen all the time. You can actually go on the state website and they list out the violations. That's one of the top things that they have a zero tolerance for, is giving out access to a property without the agent there to show it.
Yeah.
When Anthony and I are showing our property, we're responsible for that property, the actions of our client in that property, just like the seller's agent's responsible for maintaining the safety of the home. So it's actually really surprising how often we get that question, but no, we cannot and will not be giving any access codes to a property. We understand people want to respect our time, but no, we're more than happy to go with you, take a look at the home, because we can't just send buyers unaccompanied into a home.
Now, another quick point to add on to that. If you happen to see a home hosting an open house, that is where you can go ahead and, the home is open. An agent is usually there hosting an open house. So if you wanted to kind of, respect our time in that way, if you want to, kind of go and see an open house and kind of show up for that open house alone, you're more than welcome to do that. So I see that I get that question a lot too. If there's an open house, can I just go? You know what I mean? And in that case, that's absolutely fine.
Yep, and that's the purpose of open houses. Kind of open that up, make it a little bit more accessible on there.
Yes.
So certainly a different purpose and a private showing on there.
Yes.
All right, so moving on kind of through the process. So you're ready to buy a home. You've talked to an agent. You're at your mortgage pre-approval. You're a qualified, bona fide buyer, wants to go out and see some houses. So again, you find them, you send them to us, you send it to the agent you're working with. Doesn't matter if it comes through the portal that the agent set up for you, whether you find them on Zillow or one of the other real estate sites. You send the house saying, hey, we want to go out, we want to see this one. A couple of things to keep in mind. One, you want to give your agent some notice on that. It can be difficult to say, hey, I want to go see this house, I'm free in the next hour or so. There's certainly our schedules. We work with multiple clients at a time, and we want to give you our full attention. Many houses are occupied on the market, so most sellers won't, not a moment's notice, step out of their house and let you in. Very much they want some sort of heads up. If it is a tenant occupied property, in most lease agreements, those tenants need a minimum of 24 hours before anyone enters the property on behalf of the landlord, which is what you're doing. So anyone that's possibly tenant occupied, we definitely need more time in there. That's usually a strict requirement of the seller due to the lease agreement, that they need that notice to get into the property. It also helps too, if there's multiple houses to see in the same day. We are seeing some of that in this market. Anthony and I have both been in this long enough that we've seen times where we can go show 5 to 8 houses at a time to a buyer. And then I think we've both been in circumstances where you can show one house at a time because that's all that's available, and you might do that 5 days in a row. Right now, no, it is possible that we can set up showings to see 2 or 3 houses at a time. We do have a slight uptick in inventory. But having that time in advance notice, letting your agent know, hey, I want to see this house and this one, allows us to set up those times, give advance notice to the sellers, get approvals from them that we can enter their home.
And not for nothing, it also gives us a little time to, kind of do our own research to kind of help you with, making that decision on that property,
Definitely. And I definitely recommend to buyers to do a little bit of research on the property. No, and in my presentation, when I talk to sellers, no, most people, over 90% of people, find their next home online. The first thing they look at, just like on a dating app or dating profile, is they look at the pictures. If they don't like the
Gotta do
pictures,
that.
they're swiping left or right or whichever direction it is. Moving on to the next one. If they like the pictures, then you scroll down, you read the description. At that point, you just say, "Hey, I want to go see the inside of this house." Contact your agent, set up that showing. But then you also want to really start looking into the property a little bit more prior to your showing. There's a seller's disclosure document in New Jersey that's highly recommended that all sellers fill out. If that's made available as a buyer, I think you should definitely ask for that. Look through that. If there's major issues with that property and that's not what you're looking for, you want to know that ahead of time. Respect your time, respect the seller's time, get all the agents involved time. If you look at that disclosure and you say, "Hey, there's some $20,000 of foundation damage to it," that's not in your budget to address. It may be best just to skip that property, move on. Let's spend our time on properties that do fit your needs and what you're looking for.
Gotta contact the show.
No worries. The other thing I suggest to a lot of my buyers is using Google Maps or Bing, one of the other similar programs out there. Listing photos don't always show the property in the best light. They don't always show the real picture. So enter that property address into Google Maps. Do the little, you can take that little guy, drag him down onto the street. You can see the street view where the Google car is driven by. But see how busy the street is, see how the neighborhood is. To the aerial view, look how big the yard is, look what's surrounding the property. Again, there's a buyer for every property out there, but you wouldn't have an idea what you're looking at. If you're absolutely against a house that's on a busy road, you may not see that from the listing photos, but going to Google Maps, taking that look at it there, you say, "Hey, that house is right on that busy road right there. That's not the house for us." Sometimes you can nix that house. Again, focus your energy on the houses that do work for you, rather than ones that once you get there, pulling up in the driveway and right away you say, "Ooh, this isn't the one for us." We definitely want to have focused on finding exactly what works for you.
Absolutely.
So as far as the process of actually setting up that showing, we use a program called Showing Time. For our sellers, there's a Showing Time product that's called My Home. That's primarily for agents to communicate. So when we're working with buyers, we use that to communicate with the listing agent and the sellers directly, saying, "We got a buyer who wants to see this home at this date, at this start time, and this end time." Seller approves that if it works for their schedule, or if they delegated their agent to approve those. They approve that in their schedule, and that's a clear communication. A lot of time for our buyers is Anthony and I actually both will take screenshots right out of that system, eliminate any confusion with our buyers and send that right to them. In a text message saying, "All right, 123 Main Street, tomorrow, March 17th at 12 noon, we're seeing this property." Everyone's on the same page right there. And then for sellers is that app you download that you receive those requests and you can approve, decline, and reschedule them. It definitely streamlines the whole process through that. So, Anthony, you want to talk a little bit about who can come on a showing? Because we definitely get lots of questions about that from buyers. All right, we're set up the showing, we're coming out. By the way, can I bring, what are the different
Parents,
questions you've
kids,
seen on?
Pets, grandma, aunt, uncle, contractor. But yeah, pretty much my rule of thumb on this is bring whoever is going to be a decision maker on the home. We highly recommend you bring spouse, mom, dad, if they're helping you make that decision. Pretty much whoever's going to be helping you make that decision, we highly recommend you bring them along with you on a showing. To kind of come check it out with you, and we kind of can see the home. Now, as far as animals, pets, stuff like that, I always recommend you kind of leave the pets at home for the showing. And I love dogs. I'm an animal person. I had animals growing up: cats, dogs, hamsters, fish, iguanas, all that stuff. So I definitely get it. I'm a pet person. You love your pet, but at the end of the day, we are entering into someone's home that they're trying to sell. They probably then soup is extremely clean. They probably cleaned up after they pet. So, you just have to kind of try to put your mind, get in the mind of the seller. And, if they're trying to sell a home, they probably wouldn't want, you to bring along a pet that could, potentially just potentially urinate, use the bathroom or something like that. So just I always highly recommend not to bring pets. But as far as children goes, and spouses and mom, dad, highly recommend you bring them along with you on the showing.
I think children, certainly I default to a lot of my buyers on their decision. A lot of my buyers with young children, they know their kids best. They're like, nope, they'll go to grandma's house or staying at the neighbors, because the parents, as the buyers, want to be able to take a good look at their house. I know with now my own kids, bring them along. If I was looking at something like that, I know I can't get as close of a look. So kids, certainly depends their ages. Again, the overall rule of thumb with showings, remember you're going into somebody's house, whether it's vacant, whether it's occupied. What risks are you introducing, and how would you want someone else to be treating your property?
Basically, yeah.
It's not only age too, comes down to know who the kids are, their behavior. I guess one of my most panicked times as an agent during a showing was actually preteen teenagers were accompanying the adults on the showing for the house. It was a vacant house. The seller had just put down brand new bright white carpets throughout the house. It looked really nice. We're halfway through the showing. I'm kind of looking around, and then one of the preteen girls, I turned around, had one of those chocolate fudgesicles in July that she's eating and trying to catch all the drips. Definitely as an agent, gave me a small panic attack. I'm like, maybe the fudgesicles shouldn't come along with the showings. Definitely don't want the bright white carpets. So again, that rule of thumb, golden rule. No, but remember, you're in somebody else's house, you're in somebody else's property. How do you want to be treated?
And for our, for people that's looking for a home that may be, like a fixer upper flip, like an investment property. If you wanted to bring along your contractor on that first showing, time it up with him and kind of bring a contractor or a handyman, someone that's going to be kind of getting the home prepared. We definitely recommend that as well. You're allowed to bring contractor, handyman with you along on the showing as well.
And a lot of that, we've seen some interesting years in the past in the real estate market. We've shared some prior updates that this year looks a little uncertain as far as that real estate market on what exactly we're going to be seeing. But we do expect things to pick up the spring, the summer. Houses are going to have a shorter time on the market. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but that may not mean you get a second showing opportunity at the property. You may get one chance to see it, and that's what Anthony mentioned, bringing the decision makers. Now, if your parents, your boyfriend, the husband, the wife is going to have a very strong say in the property being bought, their opinion of the condition or even the layout, try to get them in on that first showing too, because you may not have the second opportunity to bring family out.
Right.
All right, so we're all set up. We've decided who's coming out to the showing. So talking about just arriving to the showing. Very simple stuff. Again, golden rule. Arrive early on your appointment. Again, especially houses that are very popular. A lot of times they will have back-to-back showings. You want to make sure you're arriving on time. Usually you're going somewhere new, so you want to make sure you can find it. So arrive early but enter on time. Again, I talked about in the process. Your agent's requesting on your behalf a very specific window for that showing. Usually a 30-minute or 60-minute window, depending on what the seller set up or the size of the property. A lot of times there's buyers before or after, or the sellers stepped out just for that window. So you want to respect that, not going into the house before they're ready for you. And again, not wasting the time either by letting that house sit empty before you get to it. Definitely one of my pet peeves in there is you'll hear from agents like, "Oh, sorry, we're running about an hour late on the showing." Well, the seller stepped out now. So definitely a big thing that you want to keep in mind. Like I said, there's other showings too. So a lot of times you will pull up to a property, you'll see another agent, another set of buyers standing in front of either they just came out of the house or going into the house. Your agent certainly interfaces with other agents on that. Again, sellers and listing agents set up things, different processes. Sometimes they do permit 2 to 3 showings at a time. So we work with that. I think we've become pretty familiar with that. Just talking to other agents. All right, you check out the basement, we'll go upstairs to the second floor, you do the backyard, and then we kind of dance around each other, trying to give each other space as we look through it.
Yes.
But work through that.
Yes. And I know, with the whole coming out of COVID thing, coming off the mask and everything like that, not required, but if you want to wear pop on the mask, you can. Just want to throw that out there. I know some sellers ask me like, do we need a mask to go in this home or not? At this point, If you wanted to put on one, you could. If not, you don't have to. So that's up to you.
Yep, that's really good. Again, defaulting to whatever the seller has. No, it's their property, so whatever they've said. So we still run into some sellers that, for whatever the reasons are, it doesn't matter to us, but they say, if you're coming into our home, no, please wear a mask, or please take off your shoes, or please wear a red shirt. No, that one doesn't come. No, but shoes, mask. No, seller can make requests. Hey, if you're coming into my home, these are the rules of my home. So we definitely work with all of our clients to respect that. So if we're ever passing that on to you, no, we ask you to do the same. Sometimes the shoes is just much easier. We've been out there on those rainy days. We had to walk, through the grass to get to the house, whatever the setup was. Sometimes, all right, let's kick our shoes off. No, outside, right when we get in the foyer. No, let's not mess up somebody else's carpets. Let's not mess up your carpets. No, if you're the one that's going to end up owning that house.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then entering the door. So you got to the showing. Everyone arrived. No, whoever's going to be with us. We go in. The first thing I want to point out, like many, many things in real estate, is this is not HGTV.
Right.
So I tell my clients right up front, look, I'm not going to insult you. I do not lead my clients to the house and say, here's a living room and here's a kitchen.
Look at the sink.
If my clients can't figure that out, no, without me telling them, then maybe it's not the clients I want to have. But no, seriously, I don't like to insult people by saying, hey, no, here's a house.
Right.
Something else that comes up a lot too, both Anthony and I have gotten is, hey, have you seen this house before? In the market we've been in, with houses on the market, depending on the time of year, depending on the past couple of years, what it's been, whether it's been a couple of hours, a couple of days, maybe a week on the market. The majority of the time, actually, we don't have the opportunity to see the house before we take buyers through. So a lot of times when we go through the house with you as a buyer, that is also our first time seeing the house as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to the pace of the market. If we just did agent previews on houses, just looking at houses, so to know about them, then we wouldn't actually have time to take the buyers through them.
Right.
And that's the market. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. But a lot of times, with the photography that we have available and how much we disseminate them, you do get a good feel for the property before you step into it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that kind of surprises people too is I don't always point out the best features of the property. Now, if I notice something that's cool, unique, I certainly share with my buyers. Actually, to be honest, and I don't want it to sound the wrong way, I'm more negative during showings. So a lot of times my clients will go in and look at how big this living room is, look how great this kitchen is. Wow, the kids' bedrooms have great setup. They're seeing the great potentials in it. Now, I want my clients to be fully aware of what they are buying. So if I notice issues in the property, I'm like, oh, look, no, there might be a crack in the basement wall. Ooh, there's some staining in the ceiling over here. Not all of my clients notice that right away. They might be looking at the great features of it. I want to kind of bring them back down to earth a little bit. I hate raining on someone's parade too, but I don't want them to fall in love with the property. They make an offer, the best offer they possibly could, and then we get to inspections, and all of a sudden there's surprises. I do like pointing out as much as possible. Anthony and I both attend home inspections with all of our clients. Spend a lot of time with a lot of home inspectors. We're certainly not home inspectors ourselves, but no, we've learned a few things here and there to point out that that's something a home inspector is going to take a closer look at, and that's basically what we're going to relay to you.
Absolutely.
No, it definitely can help with as buyers going through the house, we'll come to solutions like, how can we set up this room? Obviously, we look at houses all day, so I love sharing insights of, all right, this front room here, technically you could set up as a bedroom, you could set up as an office, it'd be a great playroom for the kids. Kind of giving that outside third-party opinion to my buyers. But again, most people, I believe in them, they can look in the house and they can envision themselves in the house, and I really don't want to insult them by saying, here's what a living room looks like, or here's how you can use the kitchen.
Right.
So, Anthony, another question we get is, will the sellers be there?
Yes. So, that's a popular one that I get, that we get a lot. And for the most part, obviously, if it's a vacant home, the seller's already moved, then obviously they won't be there. It's just going to be an empty home with no furniture and stuff like that. But a lot of the times you do get occupied homes, and the seller is still trying to find suitable housing, or whatever the case may be. So, but in that case, typically the seller's agent will the seller will leave the home, and just let the buyers go through, and they'll leave for a few hours to allow showings. But there's some of those unique times where you may run into a seller, or maybe even a tenant. So it is, even though for the most part, no, the seller won't be there, they'll try to leave and give you the time to see it. There's some situations where you will run into a tenant or a seller. And I actually have a story. I have a funny story because sometimes you might get it might be a certain situation where seller may be selling a home and is a husband and wife and they're going through, divorce or split up, and one person wants to sell it and the other doesn't. And I actually had a showing where that was a scenario. And the wife left the home and everything like that and opened it up to showings, but the husband obviously didn't want to sell. He wasn't happy about the divorce, and he actually stayed there throughout the showings and just was kind of walking around with his shirt off, going into the fridge, making his coffee, just kind of making it uncomfortable for the buyers because obviously he didn't want to sell. So you do get some stories, some crazy stories like that, but for the most part, they try to leave. But sometimes you might get a surprise. You might be welcome to a guy with a hairy back drinking some coffee.
We definitely both had the surprises there. But that's our general advice to sellers. You're stepping out of your house because you want buyers to be able to envision themselves in your home, but to make it their own. And many of our sellers are great, nice people.
Yeah.
But the presence of a seller makes it feel like somebody else's house, and you really want that buyer to start feeling like it could be their house.
And let's be honest, you're not going to really be able to get a good look and talk freely and just be comfortable when the seller is probably listening through the door at you. So you know what I mean. So
no, I think every agent has some story about that walking in. I know I was definitely showing a house. It was tenant occupied, but set up the appointment in advance, got the notification. All right, tenant will be stepping out of the property. And then walked in. It was a nighttime showing, so it's dark. Kind of fumble through the front door, walk right into the kitchen, and I'm standing with my buyer, and we just hear singing throughout the house. Poking around a little bit, now realize that the tenant had forgotten about the showing. Was in the shower belting out whatever song. Pretty good singer.
Aren't we all in the shower?
When it happens, people forget. It can be confusing. So thankfully, I think that's the worst that I've walked in on. It's not literally walking in on somebody, but somebody just simply forgotten about it. So we left, rescheduled for another day. A few on the access issues. I've had the cops come on me twice showing properties. Many people have home security systems. So usually when an agent's granted access, we're given the lockbox code or whatever we need to retrieve the key to get in. If there is an armed system, usually that access code is given to the agent. In one case, I'll be honest, I could not figure out the alarm system. So I had that code I had to punch in. I had 30 seconds to get in there. I couldn't find the box in time, and I couldn't punch in the code in time, and the alarm went off. And the second one is the seller's agent had forgotten to share the alarm information. So I wasn't expecting one. You open that front door, and the alarm starts blaring.
Oh, my gosh.
And 30 seconds is not enough. Get a hold of the other agent, get the code.
I have a hard enough time trying to open the damn lockbox.
So Mantua police are very nice, in case you're wondering. Had a great conversation with them, and all was good. But certainly never a dull day. Every day is different in real estate, which is I think part of the reason why I do this. I think Anthony would say the same.
Yes, sir.
So back to the question, will the sellers be there? So most often not. Second question is, will the sellers be watching or listening?
Or watching and listening.
So definitely it's become more popular with the Google products out there, Amazon products out there, but cameras on a home, cameras in the home, or speaker systems in the home. So I always recommend to my buyers, I said, always assume that the seller is watching and listening to everything you say in their home. So I usually have that conversation in our first showings with the buyers, before we enter a home. So one, if you absolutely hate something, if it stinks, it smells, you think their decor is hideous, maybe be a polite person, maybe not say that out loud until we leave to share that feedback. And the other one's just negotiating power. If you come in and you walk through every room and I absolutely love this house and I will pay anything they want for this house, whatever they ask, just realize that the camera, that speaker might be in the corner with a little light blinking that you don't realize. That when you submit that offer, the seller just heard that, you're willing to do absolutely anything, give away your firstborn to get this house. May not be the right message to go into a negotiating strategy with.
Rule of thumb for me, whenever I bring my clients through a home that does have interior cameras, it's a rule that I make all my clients just wave and say hi, smile and nod and wave and say hi at the camera.
It's a nice reminder. It's a nice reminder the buyer's going through that. Yeah, there's somebody there that. It's a lot of time too. I'll take my buyers, we'll go through the house, and then we're going to leave and we're going to go stand off the property. We're going to go stand in the street and then talk about our feedback, talk about if we want to make an offer. One, we're not going to tie up the house and do that inside. but we're not going to do that inside right in the driveway if we know the seller's going to be an unwelcome party in the conversation there. Interesting on access too is so this is funny because different clients all seem to have a different perspective going this, but what areas to look at in the house. So we have buyers that will be very nervous, like, is it okay? Like, I really don't want to look in their closets. Like, that seems nosy. Like, I don't want to go in there. So no rule of thumb there.
Valid point. I understand it. Yeah.
No, and you are going into it, and then there is some privacy a seller has to give up when they're opening up their home again to strangers. But I think the rule of thumb there is, no, if it's something staying with the house that you as a prospective buyer want to see it or should be able to see, then absolutely sellers should be prepared that you can take a look there. So closets stay with the house, then open up the closet. Now see if it's a big walk-in closet, see if it's a really tiny 2-foot square closet. That's going to be a factor in how you live in the house. Certainly open the closet door, take a look. On the flip side, turning around, no, as a buyer, you should not be opening any drawers to any furniture items. So if their dresser's sitting there next to the closet stays with the house. You got to see the size of the closet. Opening up their dresser drawer, the dresser they're taking with them is absolutely none of your business. And that's kind of the rule of thumb there. If something it's staying with the house, then absolutely take a look. That's part of what you're purchasing. If it's not staying in the house, if it's a piece of their furniture, then mind your own business and stay out.
Now, let me ask you this, Nick. When it comes to like going into like attics or crawl spaces like and stuff like that, what's your thoughts on that? On seeing those, go see them. If you can see them, go see them.
So the majority of issues that come up in a house, you're going to find in the attic, the crawl space, or the basement. That's where issues come up. That's where you find water. That's where you find structural issues, roof leaks. So if there's something that's not too good about the house, those are the areas you're going to find them. And you want to know that before you make an offer on the house, before you go into a contract and inspection period. So if all possible, no, I do recommend clients, stick your head in the crawl space. They're not always pretty places, even if they're in good shape. But definitely look at the basement. Pull down steps in the attic or a walk-up attic are definitely great to go into. The hatch style access panel, if there's not a ladder provided, they can be more difficult. We might have to leave that to home inspection. But no, definitely take a look at those spaces.
Nice.
You brought up before, Anthony, when we were talking. So this kind of invalidates my rule about what stays with the house. But you brought up appliances and thermostats.
Yeah. Yes. So I have had experiences where, buyers looking at the home and they just kind of want to see if, things are working, like they want to check, turn on the thermostat, see if the heat pops on, turn on the air, see if the air pops on, go flip the stove, see if that turns on. So for me, I mean, it might be different for other agents and stuff like that, but I would never recommend touching those type of things just because, it'll be just our luck if you just go press a button and the thing just fall off and break. You know what I mean? So I would just highly recommend, kind of observing it, looking at it. If it's, see if it's lighting up, just kind of just looking at it and kind of letting if you really like the home, you make an offer, we get under contract and let your inspector go ahead and inspect those items. Now, like I said, other agents might have, different views on that, but that's just my opinion on that, just because I don't want to put you in a position where damn thing could already been broken. But the second you touch it, now it falls off. Now we're on the hook for something that, for something like that. So with those type of things, I would just recommend if it's not in the seller disclosure that this thing is already broken or something like that, I would just, recommend, letting your inspector check those things out when that time comes, and you just protecting yourself and kind of visually inspecting it at the time of the showing.
Yeah, definitely agree. Especially stuff like dryers, washers, and they run a cycle. Once you start them, they're running probably past the time you're there. Perhaps there's a leak. There's a known leak in one of those. But if you start the dishwasher and you leave, the seller knew not to start the dishwasher until the repair guy comes out later today.
Right.
But, we don't want to flood a house that's not ours.
Right.
Especially if you like the house, we don't want to have to start negotiations that way.
Exactly.
And then no thermostats, no heat. No, we don't want to leave something running in somebody else's house. And some of the systems even have quirks too. That once you start it, you can't stop it. You got to know how to do it.
Right. Right.
It's not a case of something that we want to open up. The other point too, is you go through the house, you absolutely love this house. This house is going to be perfect for you. but you got to test that stove to make sure it works. I'm like, I'm not sure the stove is always going to make or break whether you buy the house. Sometimes it's a great house, comes with a bad stove. Well, let's factor in the price of the new stove when you put your offer together. Whether or not it works, right at that showing is maybe not the best time to figure that out.
Yep, I agree.
Kind of taking a step back, we talked about who's at the showing. Those decision makers, maybe a contractor, especially if you're looking at something that needs work or an investment property. Sometimes they can't always make it in person, but we get asked to. A buyer will pull out their phone saying, "Hey, do you mind if I take some photos, take some videos?"
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your answer there?
Yeah, when it comes to photos, videos, things like that, I highly recommend it. If especially like Nick said, if maybe someone in your party couldn't make it, a decision maker, and you kind of want to just or just for your own reference, when you get back home, you kind of wanted to just kind of look at something again, or so I highly recommend going ahead and snapping a few pictures or taking a video at a home, and basically I just let it be known that that's a personal video. Obviously, you've seen it with your own eyes, so it wouldn't hurt for you to take a video to look at it later. But I just kind of make it clear that don't post it on any social media sites or anything like that, or as long as it's a private video for your private use to kind of look at it later for your reference or send out or kind of show it to a decision maker, then highly recommend it. Do your thing.
You got it. Maybe we have to do a separate topic on social media do's and don'ts for buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
But certainly not taking that photo saying, "Hey, we just saw this great house and we're going to put in the best offer ever," and putting that out there. Buyers and sellers absolutely do stalk each other out on Facebook.
Absolutely.
I've had it both times. I leave it up to them to do the look. But they'll come to us, put the offer together, like, "Oh, I read the seller. They're a really big Steelers fan, so we should reference that." And that's fine and all. But if you're a buyer, put on there, "Hey, we saw this house. This is perfect. We'll give anything for this house." If you're putting that out, Instagram, Facebook, there's a chance the seller might be finding that at the same time you're reviewing.
And not for nothing, if you love the house so much and you're putting it out there, now you're just opening yourself up to more competition of somebody else that might say, "Oh, now I might want to go take a look at this house." Now.
Well, we'll have to social media is a whole other topic.
Yeah.
So wrapping up, you walk through the house. Ask us questions as you go. Again, we see a lot of houses. Some houses unique things. Hey, what's this for? I'm like, all right, that's a whole house fan. No, not a lot of houses have them, but happy to explain that. Other times it's, "Hey, Nick, what's this for?" And I have no clue. We're gonna have to look that up, or we're gonna have to ask the seller.
Yeah.
So there's all different things in the house, but we're there for questions. I definitely like to give my buyers you lead the way. I'm walking with you through the house. We do have some buyers stay together. If there is two or more buyers, they'll stay together, go room by room, so you guys can talk and compare notes as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, this is a bit of a pet peeve. If you don't like the house, let's not hang out there. I've had a few times pull up to the house from the driveway with the front door. Sometimes there's something, color of the house, neighborhood, how busy the street is, that right away the buyer will say, "Hey, this isn't the house for us." And then 45 minutes later, we're still standing there talking about how it's not the house for us. There's a better use for your time. There's a better use for my time. There's a better use for the seller, who in many cases has stepped out of the house. So you walk in the house. If it's not a fit for you, that's fine. That's perfectly normal. Happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And we just want to respect everyone's time. Let's go move on to the next one, especially if others showing scheduled that day. Let's go on to the next house and go find out and learn about that one.
Absolutely.
We always do ask for feedback, though. So feedback, one, for us between as your agent and you as the buyer. We want to know what you thought. And then the other part is feedback for the seller, which is a nice, they request it via their agent. They're looking for feedback, and you came to the house. They want to know, what did you think? So first thing, so even if a buyer's saying, "Hey, this isn't the house for us," I still pester my buyers with questions like, "Okay, so you didn't like the neighborhood of this house, but what did you think of the room sizes? What did you think of the layout? What did you think of the finishes? How's the yard for you guys?" A lot of that's the ongoing conversations that we both have with our clients as we search for the home. We're narrowing down that picture of what the ideal home is. Working with a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
Boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, right. Sorry. But no, we want to understand and be with you to make sure you guys are communicating with each other. Make sure we're communicating with you to develop what that is. We do that initially, and then we sit down and have a buyer's consultation. But there's something different too once you're standing in a house. You're like, "Hey, I said 10 by 10 is big enough for a bedroom, but now that I saw it, no, we need bigger bedrooms." So we definitely want that feedback, and that's where our knowledge sits with you. We're to force a conversation between our buyers to make sure that you're on the same page. And second is getting that feedback to your seller. Usually they're asking 4 or 5 simple questions of us as your buyer's agent on your behalf. Number one, are you interested in the house? Yes, no, maybe, somewhat. If you didn't like it, why not? And we'll share on your behalf. Didn't like the area too much. The bedroom was a little bit too small. Needs a little bit more work for us.
A little overpriced.
Right. Feedback on pricing. So we share that. It's a nice courtesy to give the seller, who again just let a stranger into their home. So that's a nice thing. Exchange to give them is let them know what to say. Hey, Brandon, just saw you pop up. One of our favorite best clients.
Brandon, yes, sir. Thank you.
Look forward to working with you again soon too. So we get that feedback. No, we're talking with you. Your next actions. If you love the house, we're going to talk with you about how to structure that offer. If you didn't like the house, we're just going to gather some feedback to help us go find the next house that we're going to take a look at. What are you saying with second showings? Buyers asking, saw the house, liked it, maybe liked it. Can we go back and take a second look?
So, as far as that goes, and right now with the type of market we in, homes are selling extremely fast. So one, sometimes it's not always the opportunity to go see it a second time. So that's one thing I'm seeing. Sometimes, people ask me, hey, can we go check it out again? And, the agent has already called for highest and best the next day after our showing, or the home may not be available anymore. So I do see that a lot. I always, if I could, and you really want a second showing and, maybe someone wasn't there, you just kind of want to see it again. I'll always try first and see if I could get that for you. But I just always like to highly recommend that we, on our first showing, we get a good detailed look, take any videos we need to take, because there's a very high chance that after today, or whenever you would want that second showing, that home may not be available to you anymore. But, never, it doesn't hurt to just ask, if it's available for a second showing, and, I'll definitely dig into it for you and see. But, just want to highly recommend to try to get a great look on that first showing.
And it goes back to what you said in the beginning about who should be in that showing. If there's somebody whose opinion, they need to see the house and they're a decision maker, whatever that relationship is. But no, they see it. No, you need the parents' blessing. Your uncle's giving you money to buy the house, but you need his blessing to, the current market, the pace of how things go. I definitely recommend get those persons on the showing. Let's set up the FaceTime for them to join us virtually on the showing.
Yes.
Because the opportunity for a second showing at this point is a blessing. It's not something I would expect.
Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on maybe an out of town buyer asking you to go see the home for them?
Definitely. I think you and I have both done that.
Yes.
But we can also do virtual showings. But this whole process, set up, there's a house you want to see.
So
but
that is allowed, right?
You're relocating. Anthony or I can go do a virtual showing. We'll set up the platform, Google Meet, Zoom, FaceTime, but do the video for you. Go through, showing you the rooms, giving you the feedback, the things that don't show well on a video or a photo, saying, no, again, maybe it's some of the defects or some of the, hey, no, this room looks pretty good, but no, it feels kind of tight. Happy to do that. Again, we've worked with clients relocating from different states into New Jersey, away on vacation when that right house comes up. So we can certainly do virtual showings and give you that opportunity there.
Nice.
Kind of the last section I want to talk about is a little bit more on the seller side, but preparing for showings, people coming in. So when I mentioned that we do use that showing time app and platform and feature. So working with sellers, I set up with them, what's your best schedule for showings? You want to make your house as available as possible. If somebody wants to see your house because they want to buy it, we need to make every effort to get them into their house. But at the same time, you're also living there. You also have your family, your life in your home. So there is we can certainly block out times. We can set advance notice requests. So you as a seller don't have to worry about someone saying, all right, I'm going to be at your house in 5 minutes. Let me in. So we set that up for you. So it has to be advance notice. And you say, hey, I work from home on Wednesdays. I really can't have anyone come in during that time. We set that up. So you as the sellers can complete control when somebody's coming into your house. As far as getting it ready, certainly we work with you as you're first getting your house on the market prior to photos, prior to getting ready for those initial showings. But in general, no, it's decluttering, removing some personalization. Sometimes now I have to point out stuff. And like, I know you like the piece of decor, you like that political sign, but that might turn off some potential buyers. So we talk about maybe moving that to the shed for a few weeks. But no, you want the buyer to be able to see themselves in the house, and you want to show off your space as much as possible. So that general declutter, cleaning. I tell all my clients, every house that the buyer is looking at, the seller's getting ready to move. So if you have a basement, you have a garage, you have that shed, and there's the Rubbermaid totes, so there's boxes stacked up neatly, ready to go. That's not at all an uncommon sight for us to see. So certainly, if that helps you declutter, helps you contain some items, go buy some totes or some boxes, move them to one of the storage areas. That certainly helps. Again, we talked about recommending leaving the house for the showings to give the buyers as much space as possible. In this current market, a lot of times when we talk to the sellers, bring the house onto the market, right on a Saturday morning. We work with a coming soon period with each of our sellers, so we have time to market the house, set up showings in advance of that weekend, do open houses that initial weekend, working to get as many buyers through that one weekend, to make it as easy for the sellers. That way you can plan 1 or 2 days out of the house. I've had sellers go away for the weekend, like, hey, we're going to go down the shore for the weekend. You have the house, get as many buyers through. So we certainly work with our sellers, all the unique situations, to make that part as easy as possible.
Yeah, sure. Question, Nick.
Yeah.
When it comes to a seller having so real quick, when I do showings, I always, open up the driveway for my buyer. I let them, I say, I encourage them to, go park in the driveway. It's maybe your future home. See how it feels to pull up in that driveway and walk out for your first show. You know what I mean? Now, let's say that seller has a garage and the door opens on the garage and the buyer wants to see if their car fits. Is that something that you would say? I
don't think I've run into that one before.
Yeah. Is that something that you would say no go? What's your thoughts on that?
I think from the agent point of view, putting on the liability filter there, maybe that might be pushing it too much, because if that car doesn't fit, or maybe you're not the driver you think you are, or it's a garage you're not used to, which obviously you're not.
Absolutely.
Let's not scratch a car or a garage in that process.
Yes. And I had that one before. He's like, oh, this kind of maybe should I see if my car can fit? And I'm like, whoa. So yeah.
There's always a couple things I try to bring, have in my car just for everything I do in real estate, for showings. A tape measure is never a bad thing to have in the car. As an agent, as you as a buyer too, that's honestly not one of the worst things to have. Or Amazon has a really cool laser measuring tools. It was really nice too. That might be a better fit to, like, all right, let's measure the car and measure the garage, and
yes,
see if the furniture fits, see if the car fits.
Yes.
But you brought up a good point that I meant to mention earlier about not even parking when you arrive at a showing. Something I always forget to do. So when I get to a showing, if there's one driveway space, I try to park on the street. I'll go further away so my buyer can park in that driveway that's hopefully going to be their driveway. I want them to start feeling like it's their home. But I forget to tell my buyers that. That's the one thing. So I always park on the street, and then my buyer parks behind me on the street. Now we're an awkward distance from the house. But no, personally, that's just how I operate. Anthony said he does the same thing. Trying to let the buyer park closest to the house or in the driveway to the house. If it's open, when you get there, you're not going to be blocking the seller in. Absolutely go for it. Park in the driveway. Again, South Jersey, we have a huge diversity in the type of properties and setups we have. So every house, every condo property is a little bit different there. But no, we want the buyer to get the best view of the house. Kind of those final notes on, for the seller, removing pets from the home. Certainly dogs, I know they can be a bit of a challenge. Nobody got a showing on the house, but to step out. Thankfully, we're getting into some longer daylight, some nicer weather. So a lot of times sellers will take the dog for a quick walk. We're doing like a 30-minute showing, make arrangements with a friend or someplace where a dog can go if we're doing an extended period or an open house. Cats can sometimes be left in the home. Again, that's a conversation I have with each of my sellers for cats.
Gosh, I hate that.
When there is an indoor cat, I try to make that note to every agent. I'm like, all right, there's an indoor cat. Just be aware they're coming out. Cats are odd creatures because when you come into the house, you're a stranger as an agent walking into a house and there's a cat in there. They either come up and they're the friendliest things, or they're out hiding somewhere and you never see them. I'm a dog person, so
me too.
A little bias against cats.
Scared of cats, literally.
That's kind of the general advice we give sellers. Now, if you have so you're going to do a lot of the initial preparation when you put your house on the market, but you get a notification you've agreed to let somebody in the house. Sometimes it's a quick sweep through your house. I remember a kid having battle stations when my parents were selling their houses. But all right, we got somebody coming in for a showing. We got 2 hours. No, we each assigned a room. Had to prep. No, that room. Pick up the toys. Quick vacuum. But a lot of times, the dishes in the sink. No, get the majority of them out of there. No, maybe get the dishwasher running. No, quick prick out. No, kids' toys, dirty clothes. Close the toilet seat lids. But no, before he's showing, you just kind of want to do that quick thing. Turn on the lights, open the blinds. Again, let the light into the space as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And Anthony and I were talking before. I think we've both seen a few sellers go above and beyond. I always find it heartwarming when you walk in. There's a kitchen. They have one of those chalkboard signs up there. And the seller scrolls out like a very cute message. No, welcome to your new house.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yes,
we've loved it for many years. We hope you'll love it too. I don't think it makes a difference, but I think it's kind of cute to see the.
I like snacks and candy too. So
yeah, so
so I think it's a great idea.
But we have seen on the rare occasion, this is definitely something above and beyond. But I think we've both run to the house where the seller lays out a spread. No, not an open house, but they put out the cookie jar, a little sign like "Welcome to our house." No, we love it. Hope you love it too. Help yourself to the cookie as now you take a look around.
That should be required of sellers.
It should be required. So again, I don't think it swayed my clients in that situation one way or another, but it was definitely a unique, cute touch by the sellers on those.
Definitely.
So we got a few more minutes. Again, anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to throw them into the comments. Anything we didn't cover on the showing process?
Yeah, I think we pretty much just about hit it all. Yes, sir.
So I think Anthony and I both run into something that comes automatic. We're literally doing this every day with clients in different parts of the stages. We definitely love what we're doing. Working with a lot of buyers and sellers. Many of them, it's their first time buying, their first time selling, and don't know what questions to ask. We're scared that when we're meeting with them that they won't remember all their questions.
Right.
We definitely pride ourselves on being available for questions for that.
Absolutely.
So working with sellers, usually for the 3 days leading up to the showings, almost every seller I have, they're texting questions. Wait, forgot to ask. Mm-hmm. What about this? Should we do this way? Should we? No, that's what we're here for. No, this is something we do every day, both on the selling side and the buy side. Showings is definitely a key part of that. Our marketing is based around that. Like I said before, the photos gets people to read about the property, reading about the property, gets them to schedule a showing, getting them in the house, gets them to consider the offer. So the whole marketing plan is built around that. So we're working on the seller side of the showings there. Buyers know it's getting in to see the property, see what their options are, and find the right ones for them. Anything else to add?
Yeah, keep the questions rolling. Gonna try to do these once a month. Hopefully they're helpful. Appreciate all the viewers, feedback, likes. Showings is something that like Nick said, we do every day, and hopefully this was helpful for you guys.
And this topic came about. We were kind of just chatting last time. Like, what? No one actually talks about the showing process, what to expect. Even as agents, as we started, like no one had a set. No, here's exactly what you do at a showing. Mm-hmm. Other than someone told me to do the HGTV thing, like here's the kitchen. Right. That's not me. That's not what I do. So that's how we came up on this topic. But we're definitely open to other ideas. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, shoot us an email or text. If you got something, hey, I really want you guys to talk about this part of the process of buying or selling or market questions, rates. We're always happy to have those either as a live video segment or private conversation. Always happy to have those. So with that being said, keep in touch. Feel free to reach out, bother us with questions anytime. Thank you everyone who stopped in live recording or live stream or the recording. And hope to talk to you soon. Take care.
Peace.